Largest population in the food chain: producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, decomposers. Largest population. Huh? Now there is a problem in this question. Do you consider decomposers as a part of the food chain? Do you consider decomposers as a part of the food chain? No. If you consider which of the following has the largest population in an ecosystem, if the question was which of the following has the largest population in an ecosystem, what would it be? Decomposers. In a food chain, how do we look at it now? If you consider decomposers, then it is decomposers, but we don't consider decomposers as a part of the food chain. We look at it only in the detritus food chain. So what do we have to choose here? Detritus is produced by all of them: producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers. So decomposers, you can consider producers, primary consumers and secondary consumers as contributing to the detritus food chain also, where decomposers will act on the detritus. So what do we choose? You have to mention what kind of a food chain. If not, you should just consider a non-detritus food chain, grazing food chain. So producers, we will look at it, we will consider here. Second trophic level in the lake is, what are benthos? Zooplankton is the second trophic level. What are benthos? Brother of Thanos. Oh, possible. Why you can correlate benthos to Thanos? How? If you have to make benthos appear like the brother of Thanos, how would you explain? Both live in the dark. They are associated with the dark world. Correct? No, Thanos is associated with the dark world only, no? He is the master of the dark universe. You can say that. Benthos are, what are benthic organisms? Organisms which grow and live in the ocean, live on the ocean floor, deep oceans. Ocean floor organisms are benthic organisms. So will there be light there? No light. Secondary producers are herbivores, producers, carnivores, none of the above. Who are secondary producers? None of the above. What is the percentage of photosynthetically active radiation in the incident solar radiation? I told you to remember this. 50%. Distinguish between grazing food chain and detritus food chain, production and decomposition, upright and inverted pyramid, food chain and food web, litter and detritus, primary and secondary productivity. Okay, I'll make a statement. You have to tell me whether it is true or false. Secondary productivity is the productivity of secondary producers. Secondary productivity is the amount of biomass produced by secondary producers. True or false? True or false? False. Why? There are no secondary producers. Then what is secondary productivity? Huh? Produced by consumer. Awesome. If you are a consumer, how do you produce? That is, secondary productivity is what? Primary productivity is produced by what? You should not say produced by consumer. You should say biomass assimilated or fixed by the consumer. Okay. In primary productivity, you have two: gross primary productivity and net primary productivity. Secondary productivity is biomass assimilated or fixed by the consumer. That is secondary productivity. Components of an ecosystem, define ecological pyramids, examples, primary productivity, decomposition, energy flow, all of that, okay. See, you have to, for all the three subjects, NCERT exercise questions, just run through them. You need to know answers to all the exercise questions of NCERT. They are also sources of questions. They are also sources of questions, not just the MCQs, even the other descriptive questions also. So these exercise questions appear very simple, but they will touch upon the most important things that you have to remember in that particular chapter. All right. So, okay, we'll do the next one. Biodiversity and conservation. In this, some important conventions. This is practical application. Biodiversity and conservation is the practical ecology, you can say, where you understand the biodiversity and try to conserve it. If an alien from a distant galaxy were to visit our planet Earth, it would run away. The first thing that would amaze and baffle him, no, run away because of human beings. We don't know what kind of intelligent life exists elsewhere. We don't know. They might be more intelligent and more manipulative than human beings. Right? Could there be life elsewhere? Could there be life elsewhere? No? Why not? What makes you feel so arrogantly exclusive? Huh? Is it not possible for any other mass in the space, in the universe, to have conditions like that we have on this mass of Earth? Possible, no? So if there are planets or any other objects having similar conditions like we have on Earth, is it not possible to have Earth-like life also somewhere else? Huh? Is it not possible? Whatever it is, whatever are the conditions that led to the formation of Earth and its atmosphere and all of that, could have happened to millions of, or I don't know, any number of planets, no? Any number of objects in space. The arrogance of human beings is to assume that we are exclusive. Okay. Master creation of God. There is universe on one side, and the universe has been given for human beings to enjoy. Scientifically looking at it, is it not possible? Is it not possible that we can have similar planets or similar objects elsewhere in the universe? It's so vast. How far have we been able to reach in our study? We are receiving light from millions of years now today. We are just seeing light. And how do we say there is no other life form? It is like telling that no other living organisms are present in this room other than the 48-50 people in this room. Is it true? How do you prove that there are other living organisms in this room? If you know how to see it, then you see it. What is not visible, is non-existent, is arrogance. What I don't know, does not exist, is arrogance. Nothing beyond what I can understand can exist is arrogance. Okay. Truth cannot be in any other form other than what I see is arrogance. This is a book. For me, it is a book with some information, some knowledge. For somebody else, it can be paper. Somebody else might look at this as fuel to burn and heat water, or to burn and get some warmth. For somebody, it might be food. They look at it as food. It is the same thing. Different people are looking at it in different ways. Somebody who looks at it as food need not look at it as paper or book or knowledge. And I say, no, you have to look at this as knowledge. All right. We need humbling. Human beings have to be humbled. We think we are the most intelligent, we think we are exclusive, we think we are special creation. Nothing. We are just like the cockroach, we are just like the bacteria, we are just like another animal. We have different levels of intellectual capability which we are using to manipulate the other organisms and the nature, like every other organism is doing. Everything is doing, no? A rat, if a rat comes into your backyard, rat is also using its intelligence to get the food. You are hiding something from the rat. Rat figures out where is the food, and it will go exactly there and take it out. Rats can open boxes, it can open lids, it will learn. You keep a trap for the rat, rat knows it is a trap. You continue to keep the trap, it will not get into it. Alright. So what we do is done by different organisms at different levels. The level of intellectual abilities we have is higher. That makes us feel that we are superior. What level? You can't see anything else, no, other than the sense organs. What else can you perceive? Can we perceive anything other than what our sense organs allow us to perceive? No. Can we think of anything other than what we have already been fed? No, we have very limited abilities. Anyways, so collectively nature is very powerful, biodiversity, nature is very powerful compared to human beings. We have to, okay, why I went into all this? Alien, alright. If an alien from a distant galaxy were to visit our planet Earth, the first thing that would amaze and baffle him would most probably be the enormous diversity of life that he would encounter. Even for humans, the rich variety of living organisms with which they share this planet never ceases to astonish and fascinate us. The first statement should have been, if an alien from a distant galaxy were to visit our planet Earth, the first thing that would amaze and baffle him would most probably be the differences to his own experience. That's all, no? What he is experiencing in his own planet or in his own habitat, there is something different here. It is like if I am explored area, but only up to a limit. In fact, the relation between species richness and area for a wide variety of taxa turns out to be a rectangular hyperbola. On a logarithmic scale, the relationship is a straight line described by the equation log S is equal to log C plus Z log A. Where S is species richness, A is the area, Z is the slope of the line regression coefficient, and Y is the intercept. Ecologists have discovered that the value of Z or the regression coefficient lies in the range of 0.1 to 0.2 regardless of the taxonomic group or the region, whether it is the plants in Britain, birds in California or mollusks in New York State. The slopes of the regression line are amazingly similar. But if you analyze the species area relationship among very large areas like the entire continents, you will find that the slope of the line to be much steeper. For example, for frugivorous, that is fruit-eating birds and mammals in the tropical forests of different continents, the slope is found to be 1.15. See, what does the species area relationship mean? Read it again. Within a region, species richness increases with increasing explored area. You start from any point, you start exploring the area. As you go expand the area of exploration, the number of species that you find keeps on increasing, but up to a limit. What does this mean? Beyond a certain limit, the species richness starts declining and there will be a boundary. You can make a virtual boundary of this limit. What does this mean? What does this imply? Every organism has a set of conditions in which it will thrive. Every organism has a set of conditions in which it will thrive. And as you keep moving from one region, keep going away and away from that particular region, there are transition zones. The conditions change from region to region. So if you keep on expanding the area of exploration, wherever the conditions are similar, there will be, let's say the center of that ecosystem, the center of that particular ecological zone, if you consider, most of the organisms are there. Consider this is the area that we that we identify. We start from here. The conditions are all very favorable here, so you will have more and more species as you keep on expanding. But here in the transition zone, there is another ecological zone there. There is a transition zone. So as you keep moving away from this zone, the number of species that you find will start becoming lesser because more life is thriving in the core of this zone. But again, if you go to the periphery, what is this effect called? There is something called, there is some effect here. This zone, the transition zone between two specific ecological zones, will have overlapping species number. All right, that is a different concept. We'll come there. But here, as you increase the area of exploration, the species diversity comes down because the conditions will keep changing as you keep away from that particular zone of exploration. All right. The importance of species diversity to the ecosystem. Does the number of species in a community really matter to the functioning of the ecosystem? Does it matter? Does the number of species in a community matter to the functioning of the ecosystem? It does matter because it adds to the it adds to the complexity of the food chains and food webs. Species are all part of the food chain and food web. This is a question for which ecologists have not been able to give a definitive answer. For many decades, ecologists believed that communities with more species generally tend to be more stable than those with less species. What exactly is stability for a biological community? A stable community should not show too much variation in productivity from year to year. That is the stability. Productivity is more or less consistent. That means in spite of the consumers using the produce, the productivity continues to remain stable. It continues to sustain the ecosystem. It must be either resistant or resilient to occasional disturbances, natural or man-made. There will be changes. No, there might be some landslides, there might be some small disturbances in the ecosystem, there might be some disturbances that we create, human beings create. In spite of all that, it should be able to still sustain. It should be resistant or resilient. What is the difference between resistance and resilience? Resistance is the opposition to change. It will not allow change to happen. When you resist, you are trying to prevent the change from happening. Resilience is you continue to remain the way you are in spite of change. Your ability to sustain your characteristic despite change is resilience. Your ability to stop change is resistance. All right. We saw both during our freedom struggle. We saw both. Our ancestors were resistant also. They were resisting the advances of the invaders. That is why we are still able to sustain our cultural identity. India has not transitioned. Any country which got invaded over the last 1,000 years or so, its complete identity got transformed. India is the only identity, India is the only country which continues to hold on to its civilizational identity. You can go back 5,000 years and civilizationally we are still sustaining in spite of a long history of invasion and attacks. So that is the resistance that we have shown as a population. As a civilizational population, we have shown that resistance, and in spite of so much of change, we are resilient. Resistance and resilience are characteristics of a stable ecosystem. In that sense, Indians are stable. We have that stability. And that stability has given us the ability to progress. Which army is more dangerous? An army which has a lot of weapons but has got not much war practice, or an army which is continuously evolving in its war techniques? An army which is facing the enemy and developing mechanisms to fight the enemy is more powerful than an army with a lot of weapons but has got no war practice. So our immune system is stronger because of that. We are resilient. We have developed so much of ability. We have developed so much of intellectual capability, the ability to work hard, consistency, discipline. Indians are way beyond the Western world in all these parameters, the humanistic parameters. We can work harder. We can be more consistent. We can keep doing the same thing again and again and again and again for years without complaining. We don't get tired. We are like monsters in working. We are like children in our living, simple life. We can live without anything. We can work for longer time. So discipline, hard work, consistency. 3 important criteria for greater accomplishments are inbuilt in Indians. We should use that. We don't know how these attributes are linked to species richness in a community. But David Tillman's long-term ecosystem experiments using outdoor plots provide some tentative answers. Tillman found that plots with more species showed less year-to-year variation in total biomass. He also showed that in his experiments, increasing diversity contributed to higher productivity. Although we may not understand completely how species richness contributes to the well-being of an ecosystem, we know enough to realize that rich biodiversity is not only essential for ecosystem health but imperative for the very survival of the human race on this planet. At a time when we are losing species at an alarming pace, one might ask, does it really matter to us if a few species become extinct? Does it really matter? We are talking about millions of species. Does it matter if a few of them gets extinct? It might. It might matter because there might be some critical links in certain chains. We don't know. We don't know the significance of anything in the greater ecological sense. Would Western Ghats ecosystem be less functional if one of its tree frog species is lost forever? How is our quality of life affected if, say, instead of 20,000, we have only 15,000 species of ants on Earth? There are no direct answers to such naive questions, but we can develop a proper perspective through an analogy, the rivet popper hypothesis, used by Stanford ecologist Paul Ehrlich. In an airplane ecosystem, all parts are joined together using thousands of rivets species. So airplane is like the ecosystem. The rivets which will hold all the parts of the airplane together are like the species. If every passenger traveling in it starts popping a rivet to take home, causing a species to become extinct, it may not affect flight safety, proper functioning of the ecosystem initially, but as more and more rivets are removed, the plane becomes dangerously weak over a period of time. Why should I read this analogy now? I have a flight in the afternoon. Okay, that to Air India. When I book Air India flights, my parents tell, why do you book Air India flight? Last time when my mother had to visit my sister in California, she took an Air India flight. It is the shortest flight. From Bangalore, there is a direct flight to San Francisco. Suddenly, mid-flight, apparently there was a crack in the window pane, one of the window panes. They have realized that then it is a danger, the plane might crash. So they took the plane to Canada, Vancouver airport. They took the plane to Canada and they landed there in Vancouver airport. They have not told anything. They have told this plane will not go further. You have to go book your own tickets to wherever you want to go and you can go. That's all. They left them there, stranded. How do you book? My mother doesn't know how to book tickets online. We have booked it for her. And with all the check-in baggage, everything. If you go to your destination, somebody has come there to pick you. They will pick you and you go home. Now she has two big check-in luggages, one luggage. Even if she wants to go to the restroom, how does she go? They are not providing food. They are not providing any accommodation. That's all. They vanished. Hopefully after Air India has been taken over by Tatas, it should improve. All right. Such pathetic. You just leave them somewhere, you just leave them in another country and go away. You tell them you can book your tickets and go. Aren't they supposed to take care of all that? Ensure that everybody is reaching wherever they have to reach at the cost of the airline? This is the level of accountability that we see. All right. Okay. Furthermore, with which rivet is removed may also be critical. Loss of rivets on the wings, key species that drive major ecosystem functions, like critical species, critical links in the species, is obviously a more serious threat to flight safety than loss of a few rivets on the seats or windows inside the plane. There is a theory called, I think, I forgot the theory. Science of aging. There is a movie made on that. You can watch that movie next Sunday probably. Dashavataram. Have you watched it? Kamal Hassan. It's in Hindi also. The theory is like this. The flapping of the wings of a butterfly can be connected to the tsunami. How flapping of the wings of the butterfly can be connected to tsunami? It is like that theory states the interconnectedness of everything on the planet. Interconnectedness of everything. If the butterfly flaps its wing in a particular way, that will have some other influence on something. That level of interconnectedness is there. So extinction of some species will not have influence, is not true. What influence it will have, we don't know. Loss of biodiversity. Well, it is doubtful if any new species are being added through speciation into the Earth's treasury of species. There is no doubt about their continuing losses. Biological wealth of our planet has been declining rapidly, and the accusing finger is clearly pointing to human activities. We are responsible. The colonization of tropical Pacific islands by humans is said to have led to the extinction of more than 2,000 species of native birds. We used to see a lot of sparrows earlier. We don't see sparrows now. Sparrows were very friendly birds. Unlike crows are very scared birds. They are very skeptical. They don't come closer to human beings. Sparrows are very, very friendly. They will come and take grains from your hand. They will sit on your shoulders. We have grown up with those sparrows. Now you don't see sparrows in cities. Why? Radiation. Radiation has more or less killed them. But off late, sparrows are again surfacing. What does that mean? Life finds its way to come back. Keeps modifying, finds its way to come back. The IUCN Red List documents the extinction of, these lists are important. IUCN Red List is the list of extinct species. IUCN is International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. Extinction of 784 species, including 338 vertebrates, 359 invertebrates, and 87 plants in the last 500 years. So it would have taken millions of years for these species to emerge. Extinction has happened in 500 years. Some examples of recent extinctions include the dodo in Mauritius, quagga in Africa, thylacine in Australia, Stellar's sea cow, Russia, and 3 subspecies in Bava, Javan and Caspian of tiger. The last 20 years alone have witnessed the disappearance of 27 species. Careful analysis of records shows that extinctions across taxa are not random. Some groups like amphibians appear to be more vulnerable to extinction. Adding to the grim scenario of extinctions is the fact that more than 15,500 species worldwide are facing the threat of extinction. Presently, 12% of all bird species, 23% of all mammal species, 32% of all amphibian species, and 31% of all gymnosperm species in the world face the threat of extinction. How can we stem it? We can't stem it. We should be less damaging. Nature will find a way to sustain it. If at all these species have the reproductive stability and fitness, they will slowly pull through. But may not be. From a study of the history of life on Earth through fossil records, we learn that large-scale loss of species like the one we are currently witnessing have also happened earlier, even before humans appeared on the scene. So it is not just because of us, it has happened earlier also, but we are accelerating it. During the long period since the origin and diversification of life on Earth, there were 5 episodes of mass extinction of species. How is the 6th extinction presently in progress different from the previous episodes? The difference is in the rate of extinction. The current species extinction rates are estimated to be 100 to 1000 times faster than in the pre-human times, and our activities are responsible for the faster rates. It is 100 to 1000 times, not percentage. Greater by 1 time is 100%. 100 to 1000 times. Ecologists warn that if the present trends continue, nearly half of all the species on Earth might be wiped out within the next 100 years. Imagine the state of life that would be if more than half of the species are extinct in the next 100 years. Even for human welfare, all these species surviving is important because all the natural resources that are produced and which we exploit and we use, all of that is produced and managed and maintained by these species. How will you produce food? If half of the species are gone, what is the food that you will produce? Without nature, human survival is not possible. Got it? In general, loss of biodiversity in the region may lead to a decline in plant production, lowered resistance to environmental perturbations such as drought, and increased variability in certain ecosystem processes such as plant productivity, water use, and pest and disease cycles. Causes of biodiversity losses, the accelerated rate of species, this is like a social studies lesson. Alright, few things to remember, but we have to just touch it. The accelerated rates of species extinction that the world is facing now are largely due to human activities. There are 4 major causes. It is called the evil quartet. Important is the sobriquet used to describe them. Habitat loss and fragmentation. Habitat loss is the most important cause driving animals and plants to extinction. What is habitat fragmentation? Habitat fragmentation. Let's say this is the territory of a lion. This is the territory of a lion, and we build a highway here. We build a highway here. You are not putting a fence on both sides, but this highway where there is movement of vehicles will act as a virtual barrier for the lion. The lion will not cross it. Habitat got fragmented. Now this led to the lion's territory becoming half. It might be on this side or this side. Now if the lion has to survive, it has to expand its territory, new territory has to be established, or it will not be able to survive. And trying to establish the new territory will mean getting into conflict with somebody else who already has a territory marked there. More conflict. Alright? The most dramatic examples of habitat loss come from tropical rainforests. Once covering more than 14% of the Earth's land surface, these forests are called lungs. Tropical rainforests are called the lungs of the Earth. Once covering more than 14% of the Earth's land surface, these rainforests now cover no more than 6%. They are being destroyed fast. By the time you finish reading this chapter, 1,000 more hectares of rainforest would have been lost. 1,000 hectares. 1 hectare is 100 acres. 100 acres or 5 acres? 1 hectare is 5 acres. 1 hectare is 5 acres. 2 lakh square feet, I suppose. Okay. 1,000 hectare is 5,000 acres of land, forest being destroyed. See, I told you, we are people of action. In our school, we have a campaign called Parisara Mitra, Friends of Nature. About 70 parents. Our school is a free school. Our school is a free school. Free education is given to children provided parents agree to our conditions. What conditions? We provide them training. We provide them training to get out of poverty. I told you, habit, attitude and mindset is the cause of poverty. We are training them to develop positive habits, attitudes and mindset, which will improve their chances of earning more money by doing by using whatever opportunities they get. Plus, all of them will have to participate in our Parisara Mitra campaign. That is one home, one tree. Every family should take care of one tree. So our people go door to door, talk to people, enroll them as our Parisara Mitra, that is friends of nature, convince them, plant a tree and request them to take care of it for 5 years. You take care of your children for 20 years, take care of the plant for 5 years, it will become a tree and it will help. So if every family has one tree that they take care of in front of their home, that will at least stop. It's a perpetual program. Every Sunday it will happen. Our school is a 365-day school. All days there is something going on. So it's a special model. All right. So we have to do something. We have to act. Everybody should do something that they can do. If you can do things that is within your capacity to do, that is your contribution. The world does not need lectures. The world does not need philosophies. The world needs small action by everybody. If everybody does small positive actions, that is more powerful than a few people giving lectures and advising everybody about how to live, how to be. All of us know it. You stop lecturing. All right. So I have more respect for people who do small actions, even if they are uneducated, than people who are super educated and keep telling that others have to do things. Government has to do this, government has to do that. Government knows it. You don't have to tell it. The government knows what the government is supposed to do. Government is struggling to do it with the resources that they have. Other than telling people what to do, are you doing something? That is important. Okay, be people of action. Habitat loss done, okay done. The Amazon rainforest, it is so huge that it is called the lungs of the planet. Harboring probably millions of species is being cut and cleared for cultivating soybeans or for conversion to grasslands for raising beef cattle. See again, destroying the forests to grow grass for the cattle to feed so that people can eat that. Besides total loss, and cows are responsible for global warming. They produce methane. Cow dung has methane, and cows are guzzlers of water. They consume a lot of water and they consume a lot of grass. So to feed the cows, you need to clear a lot of forest to feed them. Conversion of all that vegetation into meat, and so much of water required to nurture the cow. Naturally, whatever cows are there. But cultivating cows or nurturing cows for eating them is the worst thing that humans can do. All right. Ecologically, when large habitats are broken up into small fragments due to various human activities, mammals and birds requiring large territories and certain animals with migratory habits are badly affected, leading to population declines. Fragmentation of habitats is very bad for the animal to survive. They cannot make new homes. Overexploitation. Humans have always depended on nature for food and shelter, but when need turns to greed, it leads to overexploitation of natural resources. Many species extinctions in the last 500 years were due to overexploitation by humans. Presently, many marine fish populations around the world are over-harvested, endangering the continued existence of some commercially important species. Fishing. Just go catch hold of so many fishes, take it away. They are all producing, they are all multiplying so fast, so it's okay. But where is the end to it? You're just going, put a net, thousands of them, millions of fishes being taken away from the natural habitats. Okay, if there is a fish pond that is used for cultivating these fishes, fine, you are growing these fishes to eat. But you go into the ocean, catch so many fishes, go to the rivers, catch so many fishes. Continuous disturbance of this, continuous disturbance of the entire ecosystem. Have you seen this movie? Happy Feet. Happy Feet, have you seen the movie? Happy Feet of Penguin. Penguin is the hero there. You watch it sometime. Anyways, you wanted to watch what? Which movie? Home Alone. So you can watch Happy Feet also. Anyways, we have studied ecology. Today you can watch Happy Feet. Watch Happy Feet. Overexploitation. Alien species invasions. Alien species are those which are not naturally found in that particular area. Like Parthenium. It comes into the area, it will start growing and it will start obliterating the space and resources for the native species. Co-extinctions. When a species becomes extinct, the plant and animal species associated with it in an obligatory way also becomes extinct. When a host fish species becomes extinct, its unique assemblage of parasites also meet the same fate. Another example is the case of a co-evolved plant-pollinator mutualism where extinction of one invariably leads to the extinction of the other. Like the beetle and the fig. The beetle and the fig, they have evolved together. If figs become extinct, if fig plants become extinct, these beetles who have evolved with the fig tree also become extinct. Biodiversity conservation. Why should we conserve biodiversity? Utilitarian conservation, ethical arguments. How do we conserve biodiversity? In situ conservation, ex situ conservation. What is in situ? Inside the natural habitat, wherever it is and however it is. They are the sacred groves and all those are in situ conservation. Ex situ conservation is botanical gardens, parks, your laboratories where you culture their seeds and these things. We are doing one more thing. I have not yet been able to put together those packets. We are doing some study on 20 different plants that you can keep at home. Some medicinal plants, some small shrubs and those kind of things. Gather seeds of that, small packets of seeds, 20 different plants. Make a gift box of that and we want to use that as our gifting. You want to gift somebody anything? Gift them a box of seeds of 20 different plants that you can grow at home with the literature on what each plant is, what is the benefit of that, how you can use that. Like aloe vera, if you have aloe vera, you can use it for